Hey everyone, Pixel Geek here with another recording with another semi-finalist from the 2020 Pixel Geek No Code Awards. And this time I'm talking to Jordan. So let me get Jordan onto the recording. There you are. Hi Jordan, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. This is my first time learning about you and seeing your work, and so I just, I want to know who are you, like, where are you from, and how did you get into the no code space?
Yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I guess from my end, I definitely know who you are. Like, you do great things for the community. And
Thank you.
as soon as I got interested in Webflow, straight away, it's just your noggin plastered over everything, doing great things for the community and growing Webflow. So I imagine it was probably you that actually introduced me to Webflow. You
Oh,
and Rand Segal and his Flux Academy
oh yeah,
channel.
yeah.
Um, I only started getting into Webflow last year. So um, I started playing around with it, and I'd always been quite frustrated handing over designs to developers and they're not being implemented properly. And I think this is probably a problem that a lot of designers have when they get a bit frustrated with stuff but not being implemented exactly as they intended.
Yeah.
So Webflow is great for me because it really kind of puts that kind of power back into my hands, so I can be as obsessive over the details as I want to be.
Yeah.
Um, So I actually did Rand's course, his Flux Masterclass Academy,
Nice.
which was my introduction to Webflow, and that was really good. I just smashed it out in like a month, and then went through and just watched pretty much every single Webflow University video before I even opened the designer, which I,
Wow.
I thought was really great.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those videos. I think that they're really well produced.
Yeah.
And then um, during that same time, I was starting to document books and stuff that I wanted to read. Like, I'm a big reader, and what started out as like a crappy table in Notion, and then it got too big, so I moved it over to Airtable, and then started sharing it with some friends, just like book recommendations that from personal friends or like people that I follow, and it just kind of grew from there. And then people really responding to it, so um, I guess my stars kind of aligned in that I had this newfound skill building projects in Webflow, and I had this, you know, resource in Airtable that I wanted to share with people, and um, just designed something up. Actually, I designed a couple of pages in Figma just to kind of get an idea of how the branding and stuff would work, and then just did the rest in Webflow, which was really cool to do. It was also a lot faster than I expected as well.
Oh,
Like
oh yeah.
building it straight in Webflow. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I can see that the stars were aligning. I mean, it started from just a regular what was it, Google Sheet, or no, it started on Notion, and then you're like, no, it's too
yeah.
big for Notion. I gotta go Airtable, and then you starting to learn Webflow, and it's like, okay, if I have this like a sandwich, if I put it together, oh, okay. So I'm imagining that's
Yeah,
how it kind of felt for you.
yeah, absolutely. And like in classic Jordan fashion, I just got a little bit carried away with it. And it started out, it was just like, oh, I'll just put a couple of my you know,
Yeah.
favorite people on there. And then it grew to like, I still haven't even loaded the whole entire database into the
Oh
website because
wow.
it's just too big. Like it's just
Yeah.
consuming too much time. So
Yeah.
um, just chipping away at it, adding
Yeah.
like a few hundred every week, which is cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, so since doing that, I've just been obsessed with Webflow. So I'm built a bunch of projects on it now. That Good Books was my first one, and then more recently, I convinced the company that I work for in my day job to switch their marketing side over to Webflow. So
Yeah.
they gave me the green light to push through with that. So that was cool.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So for good books, let's step back a little. I'm always interested in people's processes. So you started you had this Airtable and you saw a need to put it online in a more a nicer way, and so you found Webflow. But was there any part in the process where you felt like, okay, this isn't gonna work out, or it was really tough for you to start learning to figure out in order to get to the finish line?
Yeah, it was definitely a steep learning curve, particularly the data management side of it.
Mm,
Um, and Webflow CMS is super powerful and super flexible.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I struggled with was actually, importing the data and organizing it in there,
Yeah.
which was quite time consuming. Don't have a lot of experience with like API calls or any of that kind of stuff. So um, yeah, just, you know, I said to someone recently that 10% of the time was actually building the site and 90% was just organizing the data. So
Mm.
that was the biggest hurdle. And then the technical stuff and actually building the site in Webflow, I actually quite enjoy. So I would always build a component like the nav or something, and then um, once I got through it, because I'm actually invested in it, it's a really great learning experience. So
Yeah.
it forced me to learn it, but then I would be not happy with it, and I would just rip it down and start again. So actually
Yeah.
building a site was I probably learned more doing that than I did watching all the videos and everything.
Well,
So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can
yeah,
read everything. I mean, just like any other sport, you can read all the rules and the techniques for football, but then when it comes time to actually get on the field, get on the pitch, and you're not gonna know until you actually start kicking the ball. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah, so it's so jumping into Webflow, like you've you said you watched my videos, the university, and you also took Rand Segal's course, but it seems like you're a designer first before a developer, correct?
yeah, that's correct. So my day job, I work as a product designer,
Ah,
and I've always been particularly drawn to web design and um, do like a tiny bit of freelance work, but
mm-hmm.
I I just really enjoy being able to build the actual projects that I'm designing as well and have full
Oh,
control over that. Because a lot of
yeah,
the time, what I find is like when I design something in Figma, it doesn't. It's not until it gets to the implementation that I realize that, hey, maybe this is the best approach, and
yeah,
it just becomes an iterative process. And
yeah.
I find that working directly with web developers and on larger projects is it can be quite a linear process, and it's very hard to turn the ship once I've handed off to a developer.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
I, I love Webflow because you can just tweak changes. Like we
So
made,
so what was that moment though? What was that moment, that spark? Because like I feel like we're glossing over that transition to get into Webflow because people usually, especially designers, they see Webflow and it's like, oh, it's a drag and drop, it's Squarespace, it's another Wix or something like that. What was that
yeah,
spark that said, oh, I'm gonna invest in Rand Segal's course. I'm gonna invest time in researching Webflow even more. What was that spark?
that's a really good question. Um, I think a lot of it was the Webflow showcase. So
Okay.
one of the earliest sites that I'm trying to remember the name of it. Hiko, hello Hiko.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that was one of, I think that's like, it must have been one of the early really strong builds in Webflow.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And it was advertised pretty heavily in their showcase, and that kind of blew me away because I was just starting out in web design, like
Yeah.
or in design last year, and I saw that, and that blew me away. And there was a couple of interviews floating around YouTube where they interviewed the founders of Hiko and how they built it in Webflow, and I think that
That was me.
if I had to, oh, was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well, yeah, that was probably my first introduction to Webflow and truly seeing the power of it because I'm not gonna lie, I when I first had heard of it and seen it around, and I've heard other designers talk about it, I did kind of gloss over it and think, I'd be much better investing my time in learning and investing time to learn Webflow into learning, more HTML and JavaScript.
Yeah.
But then once I saw the true power of it and what you can build with it and how scalable it is as well,
Yeah.
then I didn't really turn back from there. I decided to go all in on it.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. When I first saw that site too, my mind blew as well because I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
They have different sections on their site, but the background changes. It's not just like here's a row and then it's a straight line and then here's another row. No, no, like they have background transitions, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to learn what they did. And that's what I love
yeah,
about
totally.
the whole no code community, especially when designers come into play. Um designers, I know that I'm not a great designer, but when I when I work with a great designer and they're designing and I'm just helping them execute inside of Webflow, oh, it's so fun because like there's so much great design out there that just wishes to be executed in a real way. I mean, especially when you look at like Behance or Dribble, but what if it was real? And that's the power
Yeah,
of
100%.
Webflow.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
actually a little Easter egg, a little throwback to Higo on Good Books. So if you go down to the footer, there's a little squiggly line hover under the email. So I
Uh-huh.
just, I drew inspiration from Hello Higo for that one.
Oh, yeah.
But
Hold on. Let me
yeah,
look. If you, oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at it right now. But that makes sense.
yeah. So you can just see how much that site kind of rubbed up for me, and how much it kind of threw me into this.
That's nice. That's nice. Awesome. Well, congrats on the launch of this site and congrats on getting into the semifinals. Uh,
Thank you very much.
yeah, where can people find more information about you? Where can they follow you? Yeah, shout out your links.
I posted a little bit of snippets of stuff I'm working on my dribble, which is just / Jordan Hughes, I believe. And then you can check me out on Twitter at Jordan P Hughes. Jordan Hughes wasn't available, unfortunately. In fact, every iteration of Jordan is taken by Nike, so I have to get my full name.
Oh, it's okay. All right. Well, have a good day and hopefully we see you in the finals.
Yeah, thanks very much. Great to chat to you.
All right. See ya.